I'm not going to go hard like I did last time. So this is what happened. Last month, you can watch that vlog over here. I started working on my sequel. Again, for my sequel, I don't have a deadline, and I was chatting with a friend, and they're in spring 2021 release, and their deadline for their first draft is in October. So I'm in summer, so probably my deadline is much later. So I don't know why I decided that I needed to go ham and do 2,000 words a day. It gave me a great head start. I have 10,000 words on the sequel, but I don't need to go so hardcore. So I'm planning on doing something a little bit more loose for this interim period while I'm waiting to get back my next round of edits from my editor. So what I'm going to do is every day I'm going to do a I'm not going to do it. I'm going to watch a live stream writing sprint video, whether it's live that day or whether I'm watching one from the past, and I'll just do however much writing that I can do during that. So not like freaking out and trying to hit some sort of goal, which would probably be 2,000 words a day, just doing whatever I can manage in that live stream. And then in my time in the rest of the day, working on whatever I feel like for my horror, because I'm still very, very obsessed with my horror and I want to do work on it, but I can't be as hardcore with it because my sequel is what's contracted. And so I'm not gonna neglect my sequel, which I'm on contract for, to work on a book I have not sold yet. Also because I have a lot of time to get that polished as well. So that's my plan going forward for that month. So there's going to be an interim period in which I haven't gotten my edits back where I'm doing all of that. So today, there is a live stream on Becca C. Smith's channel at 6 p.m. So I'm going to join that to do some writing. And right now I'm actually going to open up my horror and I'm going to start reading through it and making comments of things I want to change. So yeah. I've actually ordered some fabric so that I can make more artful headscarves instead of wearing the same toque all the time, along with the same sweater I wear, because I wear this sweater basically every day because I'm in quarantine and it is comfortable, so I wear it constantly. But today I finished the first act of my sequel. I already had 10,000 words and I just needed to add 6,000. I'm actually like right on the money for 6,000. I divide my acts based on the Save the Cat Writes a Novel thing. So because I'm aiming to have a full word count of 80,000 words by the end of this first draft, I need to have 16,000 for the first act, and I got that bang on. So I'm really happy about that for pacing. And then for this month, I'm focusing on writing the first half, so 40,000 words. And so that's why I'm doing kind of like roughly a little bit more than 1,000 words every day so that I can hit that goal of around the end of this month. I want to say having the first half done, and then I'll do the other half another month. And so that's what I've got done. So I'm pretty pleased with that. This lower word count is working really well for me because even on days when I feel lazy to write, because my writing goal is so much less than what I usually do when I'm drafting, it feels so achievable. And so I don't have any excuse not to do it because I'm like, okay, Lizelle, if you sit down for an hour, you'll get this done. And what I've been doing is I've been watching past writing sprints for that. So like today, the whole writing sprint video was an hour, but we only sprinted for maybe like half an hour of that, and that's how long it actually took me to hit the word count. So it doesn't take me that long at all. So I have zero excuse to not do it, which is good. And I have been working on my horror along with it. I've just been reading through it slowly. Yesterday I didn't feel like reading through it, so I didn't. That's kind of how I'm taking this whole doing two projects at the same time thing. I'm being very strict with my sequel drafting, and I'm being a little bit looser with the horror stuff because I really don't need to rush to get it done. Like for both of these, there's no deadline. There's no deadline for either of them, even though my sequel is actually contracted. And so I have a lot of time to work on everything. And so doing things that way has been really helpful. That job where I did a follow-up interview, they still haven't gotten back to me. So maybe that will turn out, but I think I've kind of washed that away in my head and I'm just focusing on my writing, which is working for me. This is kind of a weird time in which I don't expect that I'm gonna be able to land a job super fast, and quite honestly I'm kind of tired and could use a bit of time off from full-time working, but In any case, that's kind of the state of my life at this point right now. So I already did my writing for the day today, so I'm probably gonna read. Yeah. I'm doing an update with Bobo. Her name is Beauregard, but we just call her Bobo because she is a clown. And so I'm here with her. We did have an older girl too, but unfortunately she passed a couple weeks ago. So it's just one Bobo for now. Anyway, yeah, update. I should provide an actual writing update. I was gonna do the update over there with Bobo, but the lighting was so bad and I just rambled anyway. So I was like, I'm just gonna come over here and redo it. So I reached 20K in my draft. So for this month, with a deadline of May 31st, I'm aiming to hit 40,000 words. And so under the arbitrary feeling that I will get my line edits at the beginning of June, I don't truly know that, so I may end up extending the deadline, but this is kind of what I'm operating on. So I have that goal for the end of the month to reach 40K. That'll be half of the first draft because I'm aiming for 80,000 words. So that's good. I'm excited to have hit 20K. I think when I do smaller word count goals, it feels like it's gonna take forever to hit any sort of milestone, when actually it should only take like 10 days, maybe 9 days. So like a little bit over a week for me to hit 10,000 words instead of hitting it in 5 days, which is kind of worth not having to be so intensive with it. Especially because, to my understanding, my deadline is for the first draft of the book and I have so much time, there's really no need. So that was really good. That job that I had done the second interview for, I didn't end up getting it. I'm not that sad. I'm honestly not even sad at all. Not in the way I was with the other one. I think because it was taking them a little bit to get back to me, in my head, I kind of knew, oh, they're probably going through a negotiation process with someone else. And if that negotiation process falls through, then they'll go over to me. But if it succeeds, then that's probably when they'll call me and be like, So they just sent me an email, which is fine. So I didn't get that, and that's really fine. I'm really okay with it. I've just kind of moved on to applying to other jobs. And I think really why I'm okay with it is because I'm starting to get like real chill into the whole like full-time writer life. Possibly also because I'm not in financial straits, partially because the government is here to help me, and partially because I had a bit of a cushion to help me along and we were able to defer a lot of stuff. And so I'm really quite in a comfortable position, though of course I'm still looking for work. You should not, the government cannot help you if you're able to work and you're not trying to. And I am trying to, because I know in my brain that long-term financially, I really can't afford to be a full-time writer. But I'm enjoying the process of it a lot more. I think I had always had this idea that I didn't ever want to be a full-time writer because I always needed that financial stability of the other job. And that really came from the fact that I had never been financially stable enough to have a financially unstable job in the way that I am currently, because of all the cushions and all the stuff the government is helping and providing around that. And so now I've gotten into my head, I'm like, if it was financially viable, I think I would actually enjoy being able to write full time, because there are a lot of things I like about it. I like that I can wake up at like 9 and that I can lay in bed and read for a little bit. I like that I can decide when I'm going to write for the day, and that I can focus on multiple projects because I have the extra time. I find that working, it's not really that necessarily that I have a lack of time, it's that I have a lack of
energy, because doing the full work day plus doing more takes a certain amount of energy from me. So I can really only work on one project at once while swapping. While this one, I've had so much more room to work on the two projects. Like, it's really been comfortable for me to read through my horror and make my notes after I've done writing for the day, and then I still have time to read. I actually haven't been watching that much TV because I've been reading a lot more, which has been really nice. I feel like I'm catching up. I'm reading those books I wanted to read, and I'm getting that done, and I still have time for other hobbies if I want. We started doing some gardening stuff. We've been able to take Bobo on some more regular walks. I have time to do sort of intermittent exercise when I feel like it. I just feel like I have so much more clear headspace, and I'm not stressed, which is another big thing. Like, I have deadlines, but they're all quite reasonable, and so I haven't felt like stressed or pressed to do anything, which is kind of nice, because with a day job I do often feel a sort of stress, because I'm like, oh, I gotta do this, or I gotta do this, or I gotta do that, and I gotta constantly be working towards trying to get a promotion, etc. And so it's been a little bit calmer, which I've appreciated. So I think that's why I'm not so super sad, because I'm kind of like, okay, well, that's fine, and I can kind of spend a bit more time enjoying this part of the process, and hopefully one day in the future I'll be in a position where maybe I can get back to that, because I think this is really it's only been like a couple months. That's why this is so smooth going. But I'm sure if I continue to be unemployed by a third month, that's when the real panic will set in. So we'll see how that all comes together.
And Alabama, Watley, Alabama, basketball.
Mobile.
You know, when you hear stories like that, those are not just stories in Black family. Those are not just stories in the South. And so you start to weave back. You work backwards and you say, okay, what could have happened here? Is this a magic? Is this about our power? Is this about what we need to teach to each other? Because when you're in a scenario like that, what that means is that as a mother, you're infusing everything you can into your kid fast. And I think that Black women do this anyway, because there's a degree of feeling like our children have to grow up quickly.
I don't feel like writing today. Possibly because I woke up later, though this is also kind of around the time I roll out of bed anyway. Possibly because my friend, my in real life friend, she finished reading my horror and I got all her feedback, and I was chit-chatting with her back and forth about it. So I don't know if it's just like I expended my mental energy on writing down all these ideas I have for edits to the horror, and now I'm just like tired on doing anything else. I will write today, because there's no real reason that I shouldn't. I did take one day off already, and that was like, I just had too much going on, and I was like, I don't have time for this on that day, so that was really fair. But this, I think there are days when you know you need to take a break from writing, and there are days where you know you're just being like lazy and procrastinating, but you could do it. And this is one of those days. So I have my final meeting with my nutritionist, and then I was gonna do like a dance workout, because I haven't done any like movement or exercise this week. So I was gonna do that so that I can get some movement in for the week, and then I guess I'll find some way to write.
We're gonna start like this. Flip through those magazines. I don't want to be her. Touch yourself down. Drop. Hey. You can feel yourself. It's not fun. Karate.
So we just got back from Toronto. We drove down south so that I could get more of my belongings because this is going on for quite a bit longer than originally thought it might be. And when I first came up, all I brought with me was winter clothes, and I didn't bring that many clothes because I didn't think I would be up here that long. And now also that I've lost my job, I'm not rushing to Toronto anytime soon, and I haven't found work since, so we went down to get more of my stuff, which is exciting because now I have some clothes and I have some makeup so that we can retake my author photos. I wanted to redo my author photos with me having short hair, and then I took a little headshot photo, and then I realized like one of my eyebrows is so jacked up, and so it's not what I want to use for my book. So we're gonna take brand new ones with the new dress I got, so that's gonna be nice, and I'll show you some behind the scenes of that when that happens. When is that gonna happen? I don't know. At any point could happen. So today I had decided not to write because I just was tired and I didn't really feel like it. Excuse me. But then I was trying to think about my sequel because I was probably thinking about it because I was editing a video I did with Ashley Shuttleworth, and we were talking about writing sequels, and I can link that over here for you to check out. But I talked with them about writing a sequel because we're both doing that right now and doing it for the very first time. And so I think because I was doing the subtitling for that, I got in my head about it and thinking about what I like about sequels and what makes a sequel good to me or not. And I also like recently finished a sequel. So I just finished The Everlasting Rose, which is the second book in the Bells series, second and final book. And so I think I've just been like so sequel on the brain and thinking about my sequel. And I've been wondering, I was like, is this as good? Is this as meaty as the first book? Does it have as much? But even then, like, to me, in a sequel, you should be aiming for it to be even better than the first book, because then I think you'll probably like hit around the same. And so I'm trying to make sure that my stakes are elevated. And so I wasn't really sure about that. So what I did is I made a little chart, and the chart basically says like first book, second book, and then I wrote down all the things. So I wrote down like my main character's internal struggle and her external struggle, and like her romantic relationships and her interpersonal relationships, and like what it was in the first book, like what the problems were in the first book and what they are in the second book, and then noting down, did I actually raise the stakes for the second book, or is it like kind of the same? I'm finding that the internal goal is like similar, which I'm not too mad at because I think that's fine. I don't think internal goals, sometimes in a series the character has the same internal goal throughout the series that they're trying to overcome, so that's fine. It was really like the plot things and the stakes I really wanted to be higher. So I did that, and then I did this big chart of all this of like as many sequels that I've read that I can think of, and whether I liked them or I didn't like them, and why I didn't like them or why I like them, so that I can try and reproduce that for my own series. And so that's where I'm kind of at now. I have come up with some more ideas, which is good. I'm gonna have to like rejig my entire synopsis because I'm doing so much different stuff right now, like it's not the same. And so I need to figure out where I'm gonna put all this stuff and like pull out my Save the Cat beats and like rearrange everything. I don't know what I'm gonna do with that, but I have to fix that. So that's probably what I'm gonna end up doing right now. And then now I'm sending messages to like my CPs to be like, was there anything that you wish was explored more, or you want to see explored more, so then I can kind of also get a thread about what I want to get into. So that's what I'm doing today. Having like, it's not really panic. I'm just like, I need to think more on how I can make this better versus just how I can write this at all, because that's just baseline and I need to go further.
me again with boys. I'm trying to find nude angles to film at so that I can diversify the spaces that I'm in when I vlog, because of course I'm now at home all the time. And so it's not like before when I vlogged where I could be running around to different places and, you know, make it look different that way. Here I'm at home all the time. Anyway, I got this hair thing at home, and I think this looks significantly cuter than the toque, so I'm pretty pleased with that. Today, my plan, it's like 10 a.m. now, so my plan is to actually like immediately get down to writing and do that like right away, because the new Hunger Games prequel, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, oh, the title. Anyway, it's out today. And as a longtime Hunger Games fan, mostly because of how much I love PETA, I must read it immediately. And so I'm gonna do the writing so that I have the writing done for the day. I actually had a shiny new idea and I wanted to like start plotting that, but also I really need to read this book, and so I like have no time for anything else. I have time only to do my minimum amount of writing for the day, and that's it. I don't have time for other stuff. I don't have time to work on the horror. I don't have time to plot this new shiny idea. I will barely have time to clean the kitchen, which I really do actually need to do, and I'm gonna do. I'll probably clean it while I listen to a podcast right after I'm done writing, and that way I will have all my like adult responsible things mostly done, and then I can just like read all day. And that'll be really good. Though low-key, I started Proxy. I got a Proxy by Alex London on my Libby app, so the library app, and I was reading that yesterday. I started and I'm like 40% through, and I actually really like it, and so I was really excited to keep reading that, but I must stop to read this new Hunger Games book. And it's funny because I'm not even excited by the idea of the prequel. I also don't like that President Snow is a POV. I don't really know that I need to or want to be in his head, but I just need to see. I need to see what it is. I must look at it. I must have some sort of interaction with it. I just need to finish. So that's how I feel about Hunger Games. And to specify on this, because I wonder if people will be wondering this, I am not going to read Midnight Sun. My least favorite thing in books is being shown the exact same thing from a different character's perspective with like some extra little tidbits. I hate that. I get so bored. I don't even like multiple POV books where they jump and there's some overlap of things that happen from their perspectives. I hate that too. I just get so bored. It feels like I'm rereading the book, and I don't reread books ever because that bores me. So that's my whole thing about it. And now I've managed to ramble on for Lord knows how long. But last time I made a long vlog, you guys liked it. So I'm just gonna continue doing long vlogs. So whatever. And yeah, so now I gotta get that writing done, and then I can read all day and give you some early thoughts about my thoughts about the book.
It's me again. So this is how I'm writing these days, because I ended up, first, I ended up cleaning everything first because I can't live in squalor, so I needed to clean first. I can't exist, I can't do anything, so I had to do that. Now I'm sitting down to write. This is how I'm writing these days because I've run out of old live streams to watch. From like the people whose live streams I typically like watching. So I've kind of run down on that. So this is what I do now. This is a bastardized Pomodoro style. So I do 10 minutes on, 10 minutes off. So I write for 10 minutes, then I set a timer for 10 minutes and I do whatever the fuck I want. And then I write for 10 minutes and then I set a timer for 10 minutes and I do whatever I want. And it works out really well for me because I actually probably only need like half an hour to hit my word count. But I'm distractible right now. And so giving myself an equal amount of time to do whatever really helps me. And then because it's only 10 minutes, I'm like, of course I can write for 10 minutes, right? So then I actually get stuff done. So that's the method that I'm using right now, and that's it. Yeah. It follows me. Okay.
I was like, I'm gonna do an outro where I just like pan this away from my face and that'll be the transition, but I forgot that it's programmed to follow me. So let's just pretend like this is ending. I washed my hair, so it looks really nice, and it's like summer, so I'm in like a summer outfit. I just finished filming my video about sensitivity readers and my sensitivity reader experience. Sometimes it's hard to talk about things. In some cases, I was trying to essentially figure out how to say certain things, especially when it comes to sensitivity readers, because I feel like sometimes there are questions like, well, why do I need one? And how do I know if I need one? And do I have to listen to them? And those are some things that I wanted to address. And it was just kind of figuring out how I wanted to say that. And so I was able to figure that out. My arm hurts. Oh my gosh, why is my arm so weak? It's like basically summer now, which is nice. But I am doing a live write-in with Jessica Williamson on her channel today, so I'm not writing until 6:30 when we do that. And so I've spent my whole day trying to finish the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne Collins. No spoilers, because I will say that right, not a peace sign. One. I'll say that right off because I know people will be like, oh my god, I need to run away. Or maybe not. I don't know a lot of people actually reading it. I know a lot of people waiting to see what other people think of it before they read. So I've been like chatting about that on my Instagram stories. But essentially it's like, to me, it's really interesting. It's really, really interesting. Like, there's lots of interesting stuff I'm learning about the Hunger Games. And because I'm a Hunger Games hoe, like, I'm happy to learn all about it. But it's not the same character-wise. And I think because I know Snow is garbage, I was never gonna like Snow. But I also don't know that there's any of the other characters that I necessarily like either. So I'm really, really interested in the story. And I'm interested in everything that's going on. But I'm not having that character connection like I did with the original series. Like, I really like Katniss. I know, like Katniss, what? Because so many people seem to have hate on for Katniss. I really like Katniss. I was rooting for her. Of course, Peeta, my sweet baker boy. I always love him. He is a wonderful son. And Rue, I also like really rooted for. And like all these other characters like Wyrus and Beetee, like all these characters I really rooted for and loved. And so it's really different in this case because there's not really anyone like that for me, but I'm really, really interested in the story and I'm really liking it. So that's my quick review on the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. So I have eczema on my hands. I don't know. I don't think I've talked about this before. Anyway, I have eczema on my hands, which is like basically this like condition in which you get like dry skin patches that eventually seem kind of innocuous and then they itch and then you itch them and then they spread and then it's just a giant itch fire and then you get all these rashes on your hands. It usually like attacks your joints. So I've had it like all sorts of different places over the years. Like I've had it in these joints and I've had it behind my knees and like all this stuff. It flares up with stress. So whenever I'm stressed, I suddenly have an itchy rash attack that's so freaking itchy. And once I had a doctor and he was like, you know what stops eczema? And I was like, oh, like ready to be enlightened. And he was like, oh, you just have to stop itching. And I was like, oh, is that all? I just stop itching the rash whose entire purpose is to be super itchy. Of course, no problem. I'll do that 100%. Anyway, like, that's what I've been dealing with this entire pandemic. So it had been gone for a while, and it had like popped in and out like during stressful work moments. And then since this pandemic has started, it's just like a full-blown flare-up. I bought this like cream, which was like expensive as hell. It was $20 and I was like, wow. Anyway, I got it, and when I first started using it, I was like, this is amazing. This is like, I put this on and I stop itching. But the problem is if I don't put it on while nothing is itchy, then it doesn't help me at all. And so I'm like sitting over here and I do this trick while I like rub my fingers because it's kind of like itching. But eventually it'll escalate and I'll just itch the ever loving crap out of my hands, and then they'll be all bleedy, and that'll be wonderful. Skin conditions are fun. Anyway, so what have I been doing this week? Oh, I wanted to, because I hadn't talked about this yet, and I feel kind of like phony not discussing it, but it just hasn't come up naturally. But I was thinking about it because I was talking about my eczema. This is all circuitous. This is coming together in something. I was always wanted to write a character with eczema, and in my Caribbean high fantasy, I gave the main character eczema, though they don't have a name for it, but like that's what it is. And because I wanted to have some eczema representation, because I've literally never once in the history of my entire life read a young adult where someone has eczema. And so then I made a vlog where I talked about how I was like switching it to middle grade. And then I sent it to my agent and I sent that weird third person, and then I tried first person, and she was like, I don't know that the third person is working, because when I third person, I just went in and switched all the words, and that's not how you adapt something for a different POV. And I knew that, but I did it anyway, and my agent called me out on it in the nicest way possible, because that's how Chrissy is. And she was like, no, this isn't quite how to do this. Maybe like try this again. And I just like didn't want to try again. I didn't want to try again. I didn't want to try and make it better. I just like tired of it. I don't think I can write middle grade. I'm not good at it. And maybe like so essentially the whole process of this giant ramble is I've shelved my Caribbean high fantasy. I put it to the side. I'm forgetting about it. It's just like gone. And it doesn't mean I'll never come back to it, but like low-key I feel like I'll never come back to it. Because I just don't want to. I'm like tired. And the problem is that I messed up the age. I messed up the age because I tried to write I started writing a 15-year-old. And the thing about the young adult market right now in traditional publishing is that it's real hard to write a 15-year-old. You can't really write a 15-year-old. You need like a 16, 17-year-old. And my characters are really a lot closer to 14, 15. And then I tried to push them down farther into middle grade, into 12, 13. But then I can't write 12, 13 because middle grade, it just like has this like whimsical quality and like this sort of like, I don't know, I feel like middle grade is either like super whimsical or it's like really hard hitting, like getting at those tough childhood issues. And I can't do either. I fucking I just suck. I suck at writing middle grade. And so I've given up. And so this is like a part of this vlog in which I talk about, yeah, sometimes you can be a soon to be published author and you write another book and you don't even bother trying to sell it because you're just like, I can't. And I just like, that's the thing. I just couldn't revise it again. I had no heart in it. I was like, I don't even think this is what anyone wants anymore. And I can't with it. I can't with it. So, you probably won't hear me talk about the Caribbean high fantasy anymore because I'm not doing it anymore. And so I've just moved on completely to my horror. So that's a sort of case in which I'm happy that way back when in the year, was it 2019? Oh my gosh, it was 2019. What is the world? Last year, I wrote 2 books, and I wrote that Caribbean high fantasy and I wrote my horror, and one of them didn't make it, and that's okay. Because I still got one more, and that's kind of how I'm moving forward. I just think I need to stay in the young adult space. I got caught up in the MG wave where it's like every YA author is writing MG now, and like it's good business sense because you can release an MG and a YA usually in the same year, so you could like sell 2 books in a year if you wanted to. You could go on submission with it immediately. You don't have to wait for your YA sales because it's a completely different market, and then you can like get more in touch with like younger kids and like speaking to the chidlins and like getting get into the heart of that age group. And I just, like, I can't. I'm sorry. I tried, and I really felt in my heart that I was gonna do it. And, like, I was gonna, like, jump into middle grade, and had all these, like, middle grade ideas. And now I'm just like, no, I can't. I just can't do the voice. I can't manage the middle grade voice. It's just not within my current capabilities, and maybe that'll change. But low-key, I don't think it will. I think I just need to stay in the young adult sphere, and maybe one day I'd like to push into the adult sphere. Though I wrote a book that I thought was adult, and my agent was like, this doesn't really sound very adult, and I was like, oh, okay, then maybe not. And they were all teenaged anyway, but that's a whole separate skill. I think I also need to learn how to write adult, so now I'm just gonna hang in the young adult space, because yeah, that's the long and short of that. I made this very long and very, like, this didn't start out the way. When I sat down to do this vlog update, this is not what I pictured. I think I'm just more energetic because it's the morning, and also because I just spent an hour doing my hair. Hello, it is May 29th, I want to say. Today is the last day of the vlog. I'm just going to end the vlog today. Usually I try and, like, push it to the very last day of the month so I can, like, get this, like, full picture of the full month. But I'm honestly real tired. I don't know if you have this picture of the news or anything, but there's been a lot of black people being killed in police brutality situations and that sort of thing. And it's honestly just been really tiring and exhausting. Sometimes I feel like the people that care about it are the same people that have always cared about it, and the people that don't care are the same people who have always not cared, and trying to get the people that don't care to care feels so impossible. And it's so tiring trying to convince people that you're as human as they are. And I just, like, it's just a lot. It's a lot to, worry about being killed just because you're black, and knowing kind of in the back of your mind that probably nothing will happen to the people that killed you. And just, like, living with that, just, like, as a person going in your day-to-day life. It's just really, like, a trying time, and it's sort of heavy, and I kind of just, I'm like, I'm just gonna wrap this vlog right up and go on into the next month and hope that's better. What else to talk about? This is kind of interesting. I don't know if it's just because of, like, what's happening or anything. I finally decided to read the Book of Negroes, which is all about kind of the slave trade and then how that intersected with Canada. Something that's also interesting when these conversations came up, some people being like, oh, thank God I live in Canada. We also have that happening. And I don't know if a lot of people know, but Canada also had slaves for a long time. A lot of them were brought over from the US, and even those that, like, came on the Underground Railroad and, like, came to Nova Scotia and were given land for fighting with the British, were often kind of lacked a lot of promise. They weren't kind of given what they told they were given, and even as they were existing free, there was still slavery happening in other parts of the country, just, like, ongoing. And a lot of them that came to Nova Scotia actually ended up leaving because it was so much so not what they were promised. So I hadn't read that book, and I had heard of it, and so I decided I would look into that. And so a kind of, like, positive thing after the fact is I've also like dived more into my own personal history, which I don't know a ton about, though my family were or ancestral family on my mom's side, or my grandpa's side rather, were loyalists. They were slaves that fought for the British and then were given land. And so this book is about the people that ended up coming to Nova Scotia, that were then noted down in the Book of Negroes. And so it's been really interesting for that, and, like, learning about my own history and that sort of thing. And that's kind of been something that's made me feel a little bit less downtrodden. Funny enough, because when I was younger, I like specifically avoided reading any books about slavery because I was just like so tired of it. And so it's kind of interesting that now as an adult, that's something I actually do want to learn more about, because I think when I was younger, it just felt so much about pain and I just didn't want to deal with pain anymore. And now I really can see how much it deals with history, and that's something that's a lot more interesting to me now. Writing, what have I finished writing wise? So I did end up switching my target. I think the book is gonna end, this first draft is gonna end up being 100,000 words, and so I originally had planned for 80,000. So today I'm at 39,000. So by the end of the day, I have to write like 1,200 words today. I'll be at 40,000, so I'll have almost hit the halfway point, but it's going to be a little bit more before I hit the halfway point of the sequel. I have made some decisions though. I have decided that I'm going to continue drafting the sequel continuously until I'm done. Before I was going to take breaks to do my line edits and to do my copy edits, but since I've been working on this and then like also simultaneously working on my horror in like bits and pieces, I feel like I can do both projects at once. So like, you know, in the morning working on my line edits and then sometime later in the afternoon working on drafting. Excuse me. Why do I burp on my vlogs all the time? I'm so gross. Anyway. And then simultaneously working on both of those, as long as I kind of break my line edits into manageable chunks. So that's what I'm going to be doing. So I'm just going to be writing continuously. It is a bit of a struggle for me because I'm so used to doing NaNoWriMo and just doing like huge word counts and just finishing a book in a month. And then usually taking a break and then having to write like 20,000 more words later in like a month, which is like actually a slow rate of writing. Anyway, but this is the first time I'm really doing like slow and steady wins the race. And I'm just doing about, it did increase. I was doing 1,000 words and then it like up to 1,200 because I'm ridiculous. And I wanted to be done in exactly 75 days, which is completely arbitrary. Again, I have zero deadline. I have chosen to impart this on myself and to do 75,000 words just cause. So essentially that's what I've got going on right now. So I'll be done in 75 days. So I'm at like day 30 or something like that, or maybe 27, I don't know, but I'll be done in 75 days. So it's gonna be a few more vlogs before I'm actually done drafting the sequel. But in a like evaluation of how things went this month, doing the slow and steady was really helpful for me. I think that was really nice. And even though I'm still kind of struggling with job stuff and like wondering if I said this to my friend and she was like, wow, you're so dramatic, because I am really dramatic. And I was like, what if I just never get another job again? And she was like, you will get another job again. And I was like, but what if I never do? What if I never get another job? So that's been kind of weighty, but I've also been trying to see the positive of the things I've been able to do in this time. Like I've had so much more time to devote to writing. I've been doing a lot of watercolor painting, if you follow me on Instagram, and been getting more into that. I have an iPad Pro coming because I just broke down and bought it because I got a tablet and I hated it. So I have an iPad Pro coming so I can do like digital art and stuff. I'm really excited about that. I can show that in my next vlog once I have it. I'm hoping to do some like cool stuff for my book that I can maybe give away as part of like a digital only pre-order or something like that. So that's been really good. And like these last, like yesterday, all I did was I read all day, and then at like 7:30 I wrote, and that was really nice for me. I liked it that I could spend the entire day just reading. Like I got up at like 9, what time is it now, like 9, yeah, and then I just read all day, and that's what I'm going to be doing today too. I really want to finish the book. I'm really enjoying it, and so that's really exciting for me. Like, that's not something I usually get to do, even on weekends, because I'm so busy like doing all my chores and errands and that sort of thing. And so really trying to appreciate that stuff that I'm able to do because I'm currently unemployed, and not trying to get too bogged down in the what if I never have a job ever and ever again. So that is the end of this whole wrap up. This has taken too long. All my vlogs I feel like are going to be super long from now on, so feel free to drop on and off as you will. If you made it this far, thank you for making it this far. But yeah, I hope you liked this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to my channel already, please subscribe. I post a writing vlog every single month now. I think I can say that with confidence. I put it in my Google Calendar. I post a writing vlog every single month. I talk all about my experience being a traditionally published author and any advice I have to give based on how the journey has been for me and all of that stuff. So yeah, you can subscribe for that. And thank you so much for watching. Bye!